Hi everyone, this is Counseling 2250, Corey, Chapter 6, Love. Love is influenced by cultural norms, right? You love people for different reasons. How do you receive and give love? Do you even receive and give love? So let's talk about self-love, how we appreciate ourselves in the world, like the way we behave towards others. So my big question is, do you love yourself? I hope you do. um, because it's so important. If you don't love yourself, you're only going to be able to reach other people so much before you are hit by a wall. Okay. Love involves commitment, foundation of genuine relationship, important in setting the stage for nurturing relationships. So um, you need to be faithful and loyal to yourself, right? And then you can do that to other people as well if you choose to, if that's the type of relationship you are in. There are different types of love: love between parents and children, between siblings, between friends, and then between two or more people as well. So love makes a difference as well. First, one needs to enjoy a meaningful existence. So do you love your life? Do you love life? Need for love includes knowing that our existence makes a difference to someone or to a pet, right? Not everyone wants to be in a relationship with other people. Instead, they're like, you know what? I love my cat loves me, and that's all I really need, right? So that's also another very valid type of love. But to know that you exist for some other person and they are grateful that you are there, that's wonderful. People who lack love and commitment tend to have a wide range of illnesses. Think about that. Death does not end the relationship. By remembering a loved one in conversations, we create a new relationship and a continuing membership, basically. So, do you talk in your head, let's say, to people that you've lost? Do you? It's okay. It's wonderful. You might say something like, you know what? Grandma would be really proud of me right now because I know that she wanted me to finish college, right? And that's a wonderful new relationship that you have, even though grandma is no longer physically here with us. We can harden ourselves to not experience a need for love because you'll hear that. Some people say, oh, I don't need love. Love is so unimportant. And you need to want to think about, hey, why would a person say that? Why would you not want to feel that amazing feeling of love? Um, we can isolate ourselves. We can refuse to trust other people. We can cling to an old perception that we are unlovable. So maybe someone told you that you were not valuable, so you think that no one would love you, right? And if we do this, we will pay the price because we're going to have broken relationships because of it. Viktor Frankl is someone that existed during World War II. That was a significant time in his life because he is a Jewish person and he and his entire family were put into the concentration camps. And he survived. A lot of people died, right? So he wanted to share what he realized. So I've hyperlinked Viktor Frankl in a YouTube video for you to listen to. But he also wanted everyone to know that those who kept hope of family being alive tended to survive the ordeal. And he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which you can, if you YouTube it, you can find it, or the book itself as well. You can also find that online. Please look for or purchase it. I bought it at the bookstore back in the olden days when bookstores still were around. And it's a really quick read, but it talks about searching for meaning in life and realizing that there is a purpose in life, even though you might be in a concentration camp and people are dying around you, right? That you still have choice as well. And he is actually part of the existentialist theory of psychology, which if you have taken counseling 4,500, you'll learn a little bit about him as well. He's a brilliant psychologist, and if I was an employer and I asked you as a counselor or a therapist, have you read Man's Search for Meaning, and you didn't, I probably would not want to hire you, to be honest. It's such a profound book and considered a foundation in psychology and counseling. It's that great, and it's a short read too. So learning to love and appreciate ourselves. What do you like about yourself? Can you answer that? What do you like about yourself? What would your friends say? Why would someone want to be your friend? Right? This is not to critique you. This is a question whether or not you're able to show that you love yourself. Because sometimes we say we love ourselves, but we really don't know how, right? So I'm asking you, tell me how you love yourself and why other people should love you as well. So some of you guys might say, is it egocentric to talk like this? When you're able to love yourself, you're able to love anyone. Do you love yourself even with all your imperfections? Can you receive love as easily as you give love? And that's a major issue. Think about, if you're a parent, right, and your child wants to buy you a gift, but they're like 10 years old and they don't have any money, right? Parents will sometimes say, oh, baby, you don't need to buy me anything. I know you love me. But that is not really showing them how to learn how to give love. They know how to receive love because you can buy them stuff, right? So what I always tell parents is, take your kid to the 99-cent store and say, you know what? If you really love me, you want to buy me something, choose something from here that you want to give me, right? So it's $1.10 after taxes. And then they're learning how to give you gifts, express love to you in various ways. So they learn how to also give, okay? We want people who are able to give and receive love. Not just receive all the time, but not know how to give other people love. It can be very scary. Let's talk about authentic and inauthentic love. Authentic love enhances us and those we love. Are we clear about what we want in our intimate relationships? So are you? Are you open and talking about that? Here are some ingredients when it comes to authentic love. Self-acceptance. Again, that love for yourself first. Acceptance by one's partners, appreciation of one another, effective communication, commitment, realistic expectations, common interests, collaborative decision making, and able to deal with conflict effectively. So think about all those ingredients and whether or not you have them in your relationships, and if not, how can you get them if you don't? Being able to love the many facets of a person. Facets means the different sides of a person. Like a diamond has multiple facets, right? So are you able to love this person in all the different ways that this person is? Limitations, inconsistencies, and flaws and all, right? See the person on a deeper level. Allow the person to see your flaws as well. So I hear this sometimes with some of the women I meet, which is like their partners never see them without makeup. So they'll go to bed with makeup on, wait for their partner to fall asleep, get up, wash their face, and then in the morning they wake up before their partner wakes up, put on makeup, so it looks like they look like this all the time. Why are you so afraid of who you are without makeup? And that's something that I would question, right? And it's okay if you're fine with it, but I would ask you, hey, what is so wrong with your partner seeing you without any makeup on, right? Why not? And we might have a very interesting conversation because of that. If you love someone, you can see that the person as a separate person with their own values, thoughts, and feelings. Do not force them to surrender their identity. And I won't treat you as an object to satisfy my own needs. And that's it, right? To respect them, but then not to just get them just for your own personal satisfaction, which is not going to be very authentic then. Have responsibility towards that person, not for that person. Okay. So you're making the responsibility towards them. Okay. Don't just like go, I'm responsible for this person. It's you are working together. Responsive to that person, concerned about the person's happiness and sadness, and you understand that you can hurt your partner if you wanted to, right? You can be very powerful in a relationship. So how do you manipulate the relationship or control it? Do you? And how does that make that person feel? And is this really a healthy thing? Okay. Love can rebuild, or love can result in both people growing. Both are invested in the future, stick together in times of crises, willing to give honest feedback. And some people have a fear of commitment because how much anxiety can you handle because of it? I'll give you another example. When I was in high school, I had a friend who's a girl and she had a boyfriend. And what she used to do is she would have her friends, her girlfriends, basically flirt with him to see whether or not he would flirt back and maybe try to hook up with them. And then her friends would report back to her, and then she would say, you are a low down dirty dog and all this other stuff. You're not trustworthy and stuff like that. But you were the one that my friend was the one who was actually causing this to happen, right? If no one else was doing it, he might not do it, right? And that shows that you don't even trust the partner that you're dating. And I don't know if that's something that you have experienced growing up as well, where people manipulate each other, test each other, and then blame them on that stuff when really you're the one who's doing it all. So is it really them or is it really you? Inauthentic love. So here are some examples. Need to be in charge and make decisions for the other person. Attaches strings to loving and loves conditionally. So that might be like, if you make this amount of money, then I will love you. Or if you succeed in this, I will love you. That will be conditional love, right? Clings to past resentments and is unforgiving. Puts little trust in the love relationship. Perceives personal change as a threat to the continuation of the relationship. Depends on the other person to fill the void in their own life. Is possessive. Often inspires fear in the other person. So you can see how an inauthentic love works in a relationship, right? And also reality shows such as The Bachelor. Do you really think that they're falling in love with each other and they're getting married and they're going to live happily ever after? Or is this more about other things like getting fame and money? Let's talk a little bit about barriers to loving and being loved. So here's some myths and misconceptions about love. The myth of eternal love is that love will last forever. And for some people, it actually doesn't, and that's okay. That's actually fine, right? And it doesn't have to, right? You don't have to feel bad about yourself if you go through a divorce. It's okay. It's not always going to happen. The myth that love implies constant closeness, which is always being with each other, and that's not necessarily something that has to be true either. There are people who have very successful long distance relationships. So there you go. So why question about, it only happens if you guys are together all the time? The myth that we fall in and out of love or that we stop caring, right? That's more probably because of miscommunication than anything else. People don't normally ever fall in love with someone and then that's it. And usually if you do have like a crush or something like that, it usually doesn't last very much, right? Or very long. The myth of the exclusiveness of love. So that you have to realize that jealousy is also part of love. You do sometimes feel jealous and that's okay. Here's an example. Can a husband accept that his wife has male friends? Isn't that kind of creepy? Like for some of you guys, you're probably going to go, yeah, why would my husband have female friends? That's not good. The only female that he should hang out with is me, right? And think about what that means about and what that says about you. Or if you are the husband and you're saying, my wife cannot have any male friends. Why are you so insecure that your wife is going to, let's say, have an affair, right? There shows or implies a lack of trust right there. The myth that true love is selfless. Impaired givers, they have a high need to take care of others yet appear to have no ability to make their own needs known. This creates an inequality with the receivers not knowing how to return the actions and then feeling guilty. So impaired givers are basically people who will just give, give, give. They don't know how to actually receive. And like we talked about before, you need to practice to receive. When someone says, I think you're beautiful, do you go, no, you need to get your eyes checked. You're blind, right? Look at all this fat I have or whatever. This is how we criticize ourselves. And so we are impaired givers because you're going to say, oh no, but you, I love you. You're perfect the way you are. But me, I'm not good. I'm not worthy, right? And that's something that we need to work on if that's how we feel. So I used to be able to not accept compliments. And as I get older and as I'm in the field of psychology, I've learned, what is so bad about someone complimenting me and me going, thank you. I appreciate that you're saying that about me. Why is that so hard for some of us? Love involves both giving and receiving. The myth that love and anger are incompatible. You are allowed to get upset in a relationship. It's okay. Okay. You don't want to be in a relationship where there's no fights. That's a little weird. And that's really not likely either, right? And it's okay. But don't think that just because you have a fight, that means that you guys are not worth loving each other or being in a relationship. Self-doubt and lack of love. Lack of self-love is an issue, right? Because if you doubt yourself, then you're going to doubt other people too, potentially. And you might hinder or harm the relationship on purpose. If you entered into a relationship uncertain about your lovability, people will see it. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you say, I'm not lovable, right? If you say that, and then you go into a relationship and they're like, oh, this person is just not ready. And then they don't want to be in a relationship. You're like, see, I told you, I'm just not lovable. But really, it's because you have these things in you that prevent people from coming in, right? From embracing you in a meaningful, deep level. And so we want you to be able to love yourself first and foremost, and then other people will then follow suit as well. Do you think that people only love you for certain traits, such as your body, your brains, your athleticism, or even your money, right? You might accept that, but you should also see what else there is about you that is worth loving. And so let's say that you know that you're attractive, right? You're like, yeah, I know people are attracted to me because I look hot. But I also think that I'm a sweet person and a kind person or a thoughtful person, or I do this and I do that. And I think that I'm also worthy living to be loved because of those things as well. And that's great. I want you to realize that there are more things than the superficial, like money and looks and stuff like that. And can people love you for different reasons, right? Think about that. Are you okay with it? Some of us have a fear of love, okay? And the reason why is because they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to take chances or risks. But everything worthwhile is probably a risk, right? Studying this major if you love it. Um, Asking someone out on a date or whatever it is, right? And part of it is because what happens if it's actually going to go bad? For a person who loves themselves, they're going to say, well, you know what? If it didn't work, it didn't work. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay. But for some other people, when you ask them to go out on a date, and the other person goes no, you think, what's wrong with you immediately, as opposed to maybe we just uh, we aren't compatible, right? And so then we sometimes avoid taking risks because we're afraid of the rejection or those feelings. But instead, we need to work on ourselves first and then understand that not everyone is going to like everyone else. We also are really afraid of isolation. So if we fall in love with someone and we have a great time together, and then maybe let's say we break up, then we're going to be alone again. And so why risk all those really wonderful feelings for the feeling of sadness that might happen later on, right? And this is how some people think. Do you have relatives you have not talked to in years because someone has shunned them? Right? So imagine if you had a cousin who might be gay or something like that, and the family goes, don't talk to him because he's gay, he's wrong, he's immoral, he's evil, and you might turn gay too if you hang out with him and stuff like that. So you don't because you're afraid that your family also might shun you as well. And that's really sad. So then you go along with it even though you disagree. This is a control issue in isolating people who do not live in what they think is an acceptable norm. Sometimes people are so afraid of being shunned that they behave as expected so not to also be isolated as well. The fear of being discovered. If we are afraid that we are really nothing, we try to hide it by pretending to be something we are not. So this will eventually come to light by partners, and your partner might say, who are you, right? So if you're not who you are, you're pretending to be this perfect person, eventually it's going to slip. And then people are going to go, wait a minute, I thought you were this person. Why are you now another person? And that is because you have been living a lie in that sense, right? Or you've been keeping your honest, authentic self from the love. The uncertainty of love. Love does not come with guarantees. Do you choose not to love someone just because we are afraid that they may leave or die? Love always comes with the possibility of being hurt. And are you okay with that? It's really interesting, right? We also talk about, of course, rejection, loss, the failure of love to be reciprocated, which basically means you offer this person love, but they don't give it back to you as much, right? And uneasiness with intensity as well. Like you don't understand how strong sometimes our love is, and that makes you unsure about the situation as well. But these are all things that make us afraid of actually starting to love. But love is a really wonderful experience that I hope you all feel at least once in your life, if not multiple times in your life with different types of people, whether it is your family or your partners or your friends. Is it worth it to love? Sure, I need to love and be loved, but is it really worth it? I hope your answer is yes. Is the risk of rejection and loss worth taking? For me, I hope you also say yes for that as well. Are the rewards of opening myself up as great as the risks? Yes, I hope so too. Do you prefer intimacy or isolation? Do you feel like you don't really know what love is? Are you willing to accept your inexperience and then choose to take charge of changing it? So if that means if you've never been in love before, are you willing to do it so you know how it is? Remember, we all started somewhere when it came to dating someone or being with someone, right? And I hope that you start now so that you don't feel like you're inexperienced for the rest of your life and then don't take that chance and experience something that feels so amazing. Is being rejected any worse than living a life without experiencing love? Ooh, that is deep, isn't it? And I hope that you take some time to think about these for yourself and understand how that, when you understand yourself, is when you can go forward into a relationship.